Well, September gave us floods and November gave us smoke. Punjab was hit by floods in September and compensation debates raged on. Stubble burning is happening unabated across Punjab. AQIs have dropped to record highs. Is it the state government that is failing the farmers, or the union government that is failing the farmers? Or is it the farmers who are not ready to change? Let's dive deeper. The AQI levels in Punjab, in Haryana, NCR and Delhi have hit the hazardous levels. They are 5x or 10x the satisfactory AQI levels right now. And people are complaining, protesting, yet the stubble burning continues. Also, if you were reading through headlines in the month of October, it would be very hard to miss the uproar about the floods in Punjab, Haryana, Himachal, etc. and the compensation, especially in Punjab. Every news channel or print media had something to say about it. Let's just go into it and see what they really had to say and what the farmers had to say about this. I'll just share my screen and we'll quickly run through some articles. Let's check out the news. You have the state government assuring the people of Punjab that they are going to provide their compensations, complaining to the central government that they're not getting enough support from the union government for appeasing the Punjab farmers. You have announcements from the state government of 20,000 rupees per acre for severely damaged crop, and you can see that in the Indian Express. Times of India will also show you that Punjab has released 200-300 crores ahead of Diwali for flood relief. You would also see that the farmers of Punjab are still unhappy with all of this. Let's look at if they did any surveys. Let's see crop loss surveys in Punjab. Punjab government has directed the departments to do the crop loss surveys, and you'd also find news of the Tribune saying that the government has sped up the surveys or the Girdwari and they've completed that by October 7 so that they are able to estimate the damage and then give out the compensations accordingly. But having said all of that, having researched all of it, I found that the farmers are still unhappy with the state government as well as the union government. This begs a deeper discussion. The stubble burning, on why it continues, knowing that it is causing health hazards. It also begs another question, why Punjab has not opted for something like the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, where the union government would have insured farmers of their losses in case they happen because of force majeure. There are legal challenges in the High Court. Politicians have passed, judgments on social media, on various news platforms that the other government, the other union, the state government have failed. They haven't found a satisfactory solution for the farmers as well as the people, especially in the northern part of India. Let's dig deeper into why so. Now, before we jump into answers, let's look at some questions. And I had some of these questions. Really basic, but maybe they'll give a direction to our discussion, right? So, firstly, why do farmers burn the stubble? Why do they operate on this kind of a tight schedule which requires them to burn stubble, or rather than opting for any other mechanism to get rid of the stubble or straws from rice? When it comes to the flood compensations, why did Punjab walk away from the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana when almost every other state has opted in for it? And moreover, you've been seeing this for the last few years. Why have the farmer unions been consistently opposing central government's policies, regardless of their content or intent? Also, more perplexing is this persistence with crops like wheat and rice, which are guzzling a lot of water, depleting Punjab's water table, when alternatives like oilseeds, pulses are available, and the central government is also offering MSPs for them as well. So why does this problem really exist? To have a good argument, one should be able to create arguments from both sides. And that's something that my father always taught me. If you're a good debater, you should be able to debate the topic from both sides. And therefore, let's start creating a steelman angle or the most charitable case for the farmers of Punjab and the state government of Punjab. The farmers of Punjab feel that they have to cite operational and economic reasons for stubble burning, for not really opting for any other crops apart from rice and wheat, even though the union government wants them to. The state government often cites structural issues in agricultural policy and infrastructure when addressing concerns like compensation as well as crop diversification. Let's dive into it a little bit more. They have a very short time window between the paddy harvest, which is usually late October, and wheat sowing, which is early November. So this very short window leaves them with fewer alternatives than just burning it quickly, and that leads to the smog or smoke that we see in northern part of India. There are some other alternative methods, but they are unaffordable or unavailable to most of the farmers, especially small and medium-sized farmers. Now, there's also a state policy from 2009, which is the Punjab Preservation of Subsoil Water Act, which mandated delayed transplantation of the paddy to conserve groundwater. Now, this leaves them with very limited time window between late October and early November, and therefore we see stubble burning. Farmers will also cite practical alternatives are not really there, and the government support for supporting those practical alternatives are also not really there. And there are some farmers who will also cite stubble burning as a traditionally long-standing practice that they have been following, and therefore switching from that to something else is something that they're not really ready to do. Now, when we look at the Punjab government, they will say that they need greater support from the central government. They need more subsidies for machinery, for infrastructure, and a fundamental shift in the procurement policy for enabling crop diversification, and such that they're not just generating paddy, but they're also producing some other volumes. Now, paddy generates the most straw, which leads to stubble and therefore a lot more burning. If you diversify from that crop to something else, the straw is lesser and therefore the stubble burning also would be lesser. Plus, they may not have such stringent time windows. Now, why has Punjab not really opted for the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana? Let's look at the farmers' case right now. They have some direct experiences with the union, the state governments, and their insurance schemes in the past, and they feel that they have not delivered timely payouts. Things like direct benefit schemes are pretty recent. The farmers' experience over the last several years has not been really good in this area. They also feel that Punjab has a very unique seasonal cycle, and therefore it needs tailor-made solutions rather than one-size-fit-all solutions that the central government or the state governments mandate. Also, since the Green Revolution, Punjab farmers have had security in their procurement. They have got it through policies, and now they are finding it difficult to let go of them. This hard-fought procurement guarantee has been the backbone of this Green Revolution. It makes it difficult for farmers of Punjab to opt into a scheme like Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Well, that's their case. And why they can't really switch or diversify crops? Well, the MSP or the public procurement assurances for rice and wheat is certain and it is at scale. Anything else, their procurement infrastructure, their processing infrastructure is nascent, and the transition is therefore a little risky. It would mean shifting into or venturing into lesser familiar markets with less visibility into how this procurement will really happen. And therefore, farmers see a risk. So we spoke about demand, why demand or procurement guarantees are driving farmers to doing what they're doing. But it's not always about demand, right? In a supply chain, there's also the supply side of things. So isn't the input cost of producing paddy and wheat expensive because these require a lot of water, and that means a lot of electricity to pull that water out of the tube wells. So I got into searching why the farmers don't really consider this as a cost at all. And lo and behold, I found that it has a policy answer to it. Let me share. This policy is called the Free Power Supply to the Agriculture Sector Policy, or the Free Power Subsidy. And what it subsidizes is that it completely waives off the electricity tariff for all farmers who are using electricity to pull water from tube wells for irrigation. Therefore, they have free water, free electricity to extract groundwater, which is a big requirement for paddy. And since it is the most critical input, it makes it virtually not free, but it drastically reduces the cost of producing the crop itself. And therefore, it removes any incentive for the farmers to move away from a less water intensive crop. And therefore, it has locked them into this supply chain cycle, unfortunately damaging the environment permanently. The scale of it is baffling. The subsidy, of course, is funded by something, and it is funded by the state exchequer and the taxpayers' money, and it costs about 10,000 crores in the recent fiscal years. So this has been funded by the Punjab State Power Corporation Limited. The start date for this is since 1997. So a pretty long time has elapsed, and the farmers are now used to it. And therefore, the problem, when you give something for free, for a government and for the politicians, taking it back is all the more difficult. So therefore, the question of the political will to solve this problem at all. Now that we've looked at the most charitable case for the farmers or even the state government, let's look at the point of view of the union government, or in general the people of India, or at least the North India, who have to breathe in really hazardous air. To end Punjab's air pollution or NCR's air pollution, stubble burning has to stop no matter what. And there are ways and means to do it. The government needs to enforce remote sensing of the air quality around the farms and create alert systems so that they can stop it as soon as someone burns the stubble. It's doable. But do they have the political will to do it? Why should policy inaction or market failures cause environmental damage, which is permanent? Farmers must adapt. They should adapt to regulations either by purchasing equipment or by getting subsidized equipment from the government. The demand for rigid action is just. The cost of agricultural convenience or profitability is something that the political class has to bear. The government must stop appeasing farmers. They must stop with the policies that provide them free water or electricity that justifies the input costs for these kind of crops. Punjab's refusal to join the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana scheme and its continued opposition to every new amendment or reform brought in by the central government, it just looks like classic case of political posturing. It is against any meaningful policy thinking. Farm leaders must have to reject reforms for their political gains. It is not out of practical concerns, but out of habit. And that is how it seems. As for the complaints from the state government, well, here's an interesting piece of nugget. And let me take you through it. Now, let's look at what the CAG has to say. Because every state has a disaster relief fund. Punjab has had a surplus fund since 2023, and this was from the CAG report in 2023 where it was pointed out that Punjab has unutilized SDRF funds of about 9 to 10,000 crores. Now these funds, when they are unutilized at the time, they should be invested in certain policies and schemes that generate more revenue. That wasn't done, and that looks fishy. At this point, the CAG is saying that Punjab SDRF has about 12,500 crore rupees of unutilized funds lying with them, which could have been utilized for the flood compensations, but they were not. So while the Punjab government is pointing fingers at the union government, there is some answering to do here. And this is something that you can easily locate online and go and read about it. And of course, the CAG's website would also give you a detailed report around this. Now, why are they not diversifying? Let me put up the case that the union government has been making ever since the farm laws. What did the union government want? The union government wanted them, in a way, to move away from water-intensive crops like paddy and wheat. Alternative crops, oilseeds and pulses, will generate much less residue, biomass residue, and they will have different harvesting cycles. They will ease the logistics for the farmers. They will not require to work in small windows of harvesting, and therefore they will not require them to burn stubble immediately. They can use alternative methods to get rid of that residue, which is even lesser. Paddy is a major contributor to stubble burning because it produces much larger quantities of straw. The timing between a rice harvest and the wheat sowing is pretty less. These crops therefore often fit better into the calendars for the farmers. Diversifying away from the rice and wheat duopoly, it will break this cycle of stubble burning and also help them conserve more groundwater. Punjab has a very fast depleting groundwater. It is becoming a major cause of concern for sustainability in the future. Not only will it improve health conditions in the NCR, it will also improve health conditions within Punjab as a second and third order effect. The causes for the union government to get the farmers to move away from water intensive crops are pretty just, and therefore the posturing that the farmers or the state government in Punjab doesn't seem very justifiable, at least to me. The success of what the union government wants to do with crop diversification depends on some practical considerations, which includes that the farmers do not perceive or feel or see financial risks in diversifying. And therefore, market infrastructure, government procurement, and incentives are something that government needs to formulate into a good policy. Behavior change from the farmers and political will from the political class is an essential requirement for this to work.